अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन। क्या हाल है? बस 1 मिनट में शुरू करते हैं। द करेक्ट आंसर टू द प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन बाय द वे, x is greater than -4 and less than -2. Greater than -4, less than -2. So if that's what you got, good job. Okay, let's start. I was just getting the file ready. So here it is, differentiation equation of tangent and normal. Okay, this is what we're going to solve today. I have taken out around like 7-8 questions. Okay, but these questions are lengthy questions, so even though 7-8 may not sound like a lot, but it's going to take us quite a while to solve them. So we'll do the 10 advanced mark questions of differentiation. I've uploaded this same file. Okay, so you guys can download it from there. In fact, let me upload it again with the cover page. Constant velocity or bearing in velocity. I've already done a stream on that and it's quite comprehensive because yes, it's an important topic. Obviously, I'm not saying it's not an important topic, but because there aren't a lot of questions in that topic, that's why I don't think another stream would be necessary, because I've literally solved all questions there are. So I might as well, if I do a stream, it's better that I do a stream on a fresh topic. That's what I would prefer. So I don't think I'll be streaming that. Just watch the content that I've made already. I think that's more than enough, honestly. I'm good, alhamdulillah. Yes, I did see my fan account. Not to, okay. Anyway. Sir, where will you upload the difficult questions of combined topics you told us about last stream? I'll upload it on my Instagram. Just let me get done with this stream, then I'll upload it on my Instagram. Meet up karte hain after the exams. Okay, or maybe on 50k. On 50k, we'll do a meetup, inshallah. Cubic polynomials. Okay. Constant velocity ki theory class. I think hai, Iman. In fact, yes, hai. Okay, so you'll find a playlist of vectors. The last part of that video is where I teach the concepts of velocity vectors. Okay. What are my thoughts on the Mathlete edit? No thoughts. No thoughts, honestly. Anyway, so let's start, shall we? We're doing differentiation and particularly equation of tangent and normal. So we'll start with some difficult questions, some old questions, back when people used to be smart, and then we'll gradually dial it down to today's level. Okay. So, yeah, I guess let's begin. So here is a question from May June 2011, paper 1 variant 2. Yeah, paper 1 variant 2. Okay. And it's not in fact it is a lengthy question, because first you have a 3-mark question and then you have a 7-mark question. Okay. Let's see what it says. So it says here the tangent to the curve y equals to 3x cube plus 2x square minus 5x plus 1 at the point where x equals to minus 1 meets the y-axis at the point A. Okay. Yes, I'll solve recent year. No, I'm not disrespecting anyone. I am solving questions from the past first, and then I'll solve recent question as well. Just download this PDF. I'll try and complete all the questions that we have on this PDF. Okay. You'll find this PDF in the description. All right. Okay, so it says the tangent to the curve at the point where x equals to minus 1 meets the y-axis at the point A. Okay, ab dekho, it's a good idea that whenever you're solving a question, just set up small and new objectives for yourself. So even though the question here is asking you to find out the coordinates of the point A, but that part comes later. Okay, you'll only be able to find out the coordinates of the point A once you actually have the equation of tangent. Okay, so you're going to set up a new objective for yourself, and the new objective for yourself would be to find out the equation of tangent. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on now, and that is to somehow find out the equation of tangent. So that means all my energy, all my mental energy is now concentrated towards one thing, and that is equation of tangent, and I'm not too worried about what else the question is asking for, because whatever it's asking for, we've narrowed it down that it's dependent on the equation of tangent. So how do you find out the equation of tangent? So there are 3-4 steps that you need to follow. Okay, and if you're looking for a conceptual video on this, then you'll find it, check out the differentiation playlist, you'll find it over there, inshallah. So first step is that you differentiate it. So when you differentiate it, 3 into 3 is 9, 9x square minus 18x minus 5. Okay, so this is dy by dx. Now where exactly do you want the equation of tangent? You want the equation of tangent when x equals to minus 1. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to now plug in x equals to minus 1 in dy by dx, and when you do that, you actually end up finding out the gradient of tangent. Okay, so let's simplify this. 9 minus 18 minus 5, see what do we get? 9 minus 18 minus 5, so we get minus 14. Okay, so that means the gradient of tangent will be minus 14. The equation will be y equals to 5. Alright, let's find out. Maybe you're right. Let's see. Okay, so if the equation of tangent, if the gradient is minus 14, okay, we have the x coordinate. Now let's find out the y coordinate. How do we find out the y coordinate? We can find out the y coordinate by simply plugging in minus 1 in the equation of the curve. So 3 into minus 1 cubed plus 2 into minus 1 squared minus 5 into minus 1 plus 1. Okay, so let's find out. Sir, 4x not 18. Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Whoopsie. Okay, let me fix that. 18 कहाँ से आ गया अचानक से? Okay, let me double check. 3 into 3 is 9. 9x square plus 4x minus 5. Okay, now let's plug in x equals to minus 1. So now if I plug in x equals to minus 1, 9 into minus 1 squared plus 4 into minus 1 minus 5. Okay, let's see what do we get. So we get 9 minus 4 minus 5. Okay, that's interesting. That means that the gradient of the tangent is equals to 0. Now what does that mean? That means we're looking at a horizontal line. If the gradient of tangent is equal to 0, that means we're looking at a horizontal line. Okay, so if we're looking at a horizontal line, that means in order to find out the equation of the horizontal line, just finding out the y coordinate is going to be good enough. So this will become minus 3, this will become plus 2, this will become plus 5 plus 1. Okay, now let's see what do we get. 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 minus 3 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. Okay, so that means the equation of the tangent straight away we know is y equals to 5. Because the gradient is 0, that means y equals to the constant is going to be the equation of the tangent. So this right here is the equation of tangent. Okay, now if this is the equation of tangent, you need to find out the coordinates of the point A. Okay, So A is the point where the tangent meets the y-axis. So that means अब आपको बिल्कुल मेहनत करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Since you know that you have a horizontal line y equals to 5, that means the point at which it meets the y-axis will be 0, 5. So this is the line y equals to 5. The point at which it meets the y-axis, A, will have coordinates 0, 5. Okay. Gradient 0 means it's the turning point. Yes, gradient 0 means it's the turning point. So that means we are finding out the tangent at basically one of the turning points of the curve. Okay, thank you. Then it says the curve meets the y-axis at the point B. The normal to the curve at B meets the x-axis at the point C. The tangent to the curve at the point where x equals to 1 and the normal to the curve at B meet at the point C. Meet at the point D. Find the area of triangle ACD. Okay. Now there's a lot going on in this question. Okay. So we'll try and break it down and, like I said, set up new objectives for ourselves. So first of all, it says the curve meets the y-axis at the point B. Okay. So B is a point where the curve is meeting the y-axis. That means it's going to have coordinates 0, y. And let's write down the equation of the curve. The equation of the curve is y equals to 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x plus 1. Y equals to 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x plus 1. Okay. Now again, you don't really need to work hard. You can see that if you plug in 0 in place of x, everything becomes 0 except for the one that you have at the end. So that means B is the point 0, 1. Okay. So B is the point 0, 1. Then it says the normal to the curve at B meets the x-axis at the point C. Okay. So again, we now have a new objective, and that is we now need to find out the equation of normal to the curve at B. Why? Because we need to find out point C, and point C is where the normal meets the x-axis. Okay. So we have a new objective, like I said, and the new objective is the normal to the curve at point B. Okay, which basically means at x equals to 0. Alright, or you can write down the coordinates of B 0, 1. Okay, now let's differentiate the equation of the curve. So dy by dx equals to what? Equals to 3 into 3, which is 9x squared plus 4x minus 5. So let's plug in x equals to 0. Now if you plug in x equals to 0, remember you get the gradient of tangent. 9 into 0 square plus 4 into 0 minus 5, and the gradient of tangent turns out to be minus 5. Now since we're finding out the gradient, the equation of normal, that means the equation of the gradient of normal is going to be 1 upon 5. Sir, are extra sheets allowed? So extra sheets are allowed. So you are given an extra sheet at the very end. Okay, so use that first before you borrow anything. Okay. Okay, I forgot to mention this. Those of you who are watching, if you guys would just please like the stream, that would mean a lot, as always. Okay, so the gradient of normal is equals to what? Is equals to 1 upon 5. Now the point at which we need to find out the equation of normal is 0, 5. Alright. So y minus 1 is equals to 1 upon 5 into x minus 0. So you cross multiply. So 5y minus 5 equals to x. Okay. Then we need to find out the point where the normal cuts the x-axis. Okay, so the normal to the curve B cuts the x-axis at the point C. So that means C will have coordinates as x, 0. Because C is the point where the normal cuts the x-axis, so C के जो coordinates y coordinate होगा वो 0 होगा, and there's going to be some x coordinate. So that's what we're going to do. 5 into 0 minus 5 equals to x. So that means x equals to minus 5. And now we have the coordinates of C, and वो हैं minus 5, 0. Okay. So shoelace method is used to calculate area. Yes, you can use the shoelace method, but let's see. First, let's get all the coordinates in order. Then we'll see if we really have to use the shoelace method. Normally, if you have a right angle triangle being formed, then there's no need to honestly use the shoelace method. Okay. Okay. Now, 1 second, zara. Just a minute. Moderators, I'd appreciate if you guys would, are a bit more vigilant and active. So we have the coordinates of C. Now we need to find out the coordinates of D. Okay, so let's see कि D क्या है. Then it says the tangent to the curve at the point where x equals to -1 and the normal to the curve at B meet at the point D. Okay, so D is basically what? D is basically the point of intersection. The point of intersection of tangent and normal. Now if you have like a hard time trying to visualize what's going on, okay, then that means, then for that I have a little suggestion, and that is just sort of sketch it out and see what's going on. Okay, that will give you an idea as to what exactly is going on over here. So dekho, you have the tangent line, which is y equals to 5, okay, something like this. And then you have a normal line as well. Okay, now the equation for normal line is this: y minus 1 equals to 1 upon 5x. In fact, if you rearrange it and if you write it nicely, so it can be written like this: y equals to 1 upon 5x plus 1. Yeah, you can write it like this: y equals to 1 upon 5x plus 1. That means it's a line with a positive gradient. Okay, and what's the x-intercept? You can see over here that the x-intercept is -5. Okay, so these two lines are apparently meeting at a point D. Now one coordinate of D is for sure, and that is, one coordinate of D is going to be 5 for sure. Okay, why is that? Because the horizontal line where D is at is y equals to 5. Okay, now this green line over here has equation y is equals to 1 upon 5x plus 1. Y equals to 1 upon 5x plus 1. Okay, now if you need to find out the corresponding x coordinate, okay, if you need to find out the corresponding x coordinate, then you can do that by simply plugging in 5 in the equation of normal. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Y is equals to 1 upon 5x plus 1 is the equation of normal. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in y as 5. So 5 is equals to 1 upon 5x plus 1. You take 1 over to the other side. Let's see what happens. 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 is equals to 1 upon 5x, and then cross multiply. So x equals to what? X is equals to 20. So that means D के जो coordinates हैं वो हैं 20, 5. Okay. So now we have the coordinates of D. All right. We have the coordinates of C. That's right here. Okay. And we have the coordinates of B. In fact, A ये रहा. ठीक है. So we have everything we need. Okay, we have everything we need. We have A, we have C, and we have D. The only thing that we have to do now is to clean this up and make a nicer triangle, or maybe we can draw it separately. We can make a nicer triangle separately and then find out the area. Now I wouldn't suggest that you use that method where you use the Hero's formula or shoelace method. Okay, I would suggest that you use half into base into height because it's pretty easy. Let me show you why. So here's A, okay, and let's mark C. So C यहाँ पे है, ठीक है, और D यहाँ पे है, and there you go. This is the triangle that you're looking at. So here is D and here is the point C. ठीक है. Shoelace method is basically this formula over here: half into x1 y1 into x2 y2. It's this formula, okay, which I will not suggest that you use over here. Okay, why? Because you can find out the base and the height very easily. So notice over here that this coordinate, this coordinate over here is 20 and this coordinate over here is -5. So that means we can find out the base very easily. This will be our base, and what is the base going to be? Let's write it down. The base is going to be 20. Okay, so what's the base equal to? The base is equals to 20. Okay. This gives you the area. Watch the coordinate geometry stream. You will understand what I'm talking about. Okay. So -5, 0. So what about the height? What's the height going to be? The height is going to be this length. Okay. So this right here is going to be our height, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 5. Okay. Now we can find out the area easily. Half into base, which is 20, into the height, which is 5. So work this out. 2 1s are, 2 10s are. 10 into 5 equals to what? Is equals to 50 unit square, yeah, 50 square units. Okay, and there you go, fellas. That's your answer. And as always, take a good look at it and let me know what your thoughts are. Easy, medium, insanely difficult. Shouldn't the base be CD? No. Just make sure that whatever you take your base as and whatever you take your height as are perpendicular to one another. Okay. shoelace method से भी कर दूं? चलें आप कहते हैं तो कर देता हूँ shoelace method से. Okay, I'm not going to solve it entirely using the shoelace method. I'll just write down the values and then you guys can cross multiply and figure it out. So how do we verify that this is a right angle? बेटा मुझे एक बात बताओ, आपने मैथ का पेपर दिया होगा ना? अगर आपके पास एक ट्रायंगल है, then how do you distinguish between the base and the height? Or what do you make sure of when you're finding out the base and the height? You make sure of that they're making a right angle triangle. So this becomes your base, okay? And the perpendicular distance from the base to the highest point becomes your height. Okay, I've done the exact same thing except that it's 180 degrees rotated. Okay, so half into A. Now A has coordinates 0, 5. Okay, and then C, which has coordinates minus 5, 0. And then D, which has coordinates 20, 5. And then rewrite the coordinates of A, 0, 5. Okay, then multiply. So here's what you get. You get 0 minus 25 plus 100. Okay, and then minus 0, 0, and 25 again. Minus. Alright, and then don't forget that you have a half outside. So half into, now you have minus 25 plus 100 plus 25. चलो मैंने पूरा ही solve कर दिया. So minus 25 plus 25 gets cancelled. 100 upon 2 is equals to what? Equals to 50. So again, you get the same answer, 50 units square. Now, if you're looking for like a more detailed video, or if you want to learn this concept, then I would suggest you watch the coordinate geometry stream where I've explained this concept from scratch. Okay. Yes, Hamad, I think that's a very good take on the question. That's exactly what it is. It's lengthy, but it's easy. Wouldn't the height be the perpendicular distance? Yes, the height is the perpendicular distance, which is why it's this, not this. देखो, अगर आप अपनी base को एक imaginary line से extend करें, ठीक है, if you extend your base making an imaginary line, then your height you can see is the perpendicular distance from the base to the highest point. Okay, I'll give you guys a quick summary of what I just did. Now, here's what I've done. First of all, the curve meets the y-axis at the point B, so we found out the coordinates of B. Then, normal to the same curve at B meets the x-axis at the point C. So I found the equation of the normal to the curve. Then C is the point where the normal is cutting the x-intercept, so I found out the coordinates of C by plugging in y as 0. Okay. Then D is the point where the tangent and the normal intersect. So here is the working for D. You can see we have the coordinates of D and 20 as 20, 5. Then I took the coordinates of A, took the coordinates of C, took the coordinates of D, made a triangle and found the area. Okay. So there you go. Now let's do another question. Okay, let's do an easy question, then gradually we'll increase the difficulty level. Okay, let's do this. So here we have, sir, can we find the coordinates of D by simultaneous? Yeah, you can totally do that. You can find the coordinates of D by solving them simultaneously. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, so as I was saying, it says here, find the equation of the normal to the curve y equals to so and so. First, first let me solve all the questions that I have planned, and then I will take your questions. Okay. Okay, so it says find the equation of the normal to the curve y equals to x squared plus 8 over x minus 2 at the point on the curve where x equals to 4. Okay, so first of all, we need to find out dy by dx. Now, the way to find dy by dx is that we'll have to use quotient rule over here. So u is equals to x squared plus 8, which means u is equals to. Okay, well, the good news is I have that question planned. I know what question you're talking about. I have that question planned. Okay. So u prime is equal to 2, 8. V is equals to x minus 2, which means v prime is going to be equal to 1. Okay. Now, the quotient rule is going to be vu prime minus uv prime. So, vu prime means x minus 2 into 2x minus uv prime means minus x squared plus 8. Please do not forget to make a bracket after the minus sign, otherwise you'll lose marks. Okay. Upon v square, which means x minus 2 the whole thing square. Okay. Now, the good thing about having a value of x is that you don't really have to simplify it, but if you still want to do it, go ahead, makes no difference. So 2x into x is going to be 2x square minus 4x minus x square minus 8 over x minus 2 the whole thing square. Now, 2x minus x square is something that can be further simplified, so I am going to do that. X square minus 4x minus 8 over x minus 2 the whole thing square. Okay, so now we plug in the value of x, which is 4. So x equals to 4. And remember, when you plug in 4, you get the equation, you get the gradient of tangent. Okay, which you then need to convert in order to find out the equation of the gradient of normal. 4 minus 2 the whole thing square. Okay, so the gradient of tangent is going to be 16 minus 16, which is 0. 0 minus 8 is minus 8. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 square is 4. So that means the gradient of tangent is going to be equal to minus 2, which means that the gradient of normal is going to be equal to positive 1 upon 2. Okay. Now, at this point, I will check this answer using a calculator. Okay. And that's what I would suggest you guys do as well. Okay. So, remember, your calculator can find out dy by dx at a given value of x. So, I will make sure that this is minus 2. Okay, so x square, and if you guys don't know how to do this, well, you're missing out. You really need to learn how to do this so that in the exam you can check your answer. Okay, so it's correct. The gradient of tangent is correct. That means the gradient of normal is obviously correct. Okay, now that you know what x is, I would suggest that you find out the value of y by plugging in x equals to 4 in the equation of the curve. So when x equals to 4, let's see what y is equals to. Y is equals to 4 squared plus 8 over 4 minus 2. इसको क्या हो गया? Okay, just give me 30 seconds. I'm just going to restart the app quickly. Okay. बेटा मैंने इस पे वीडियो बनाई हुई है, ठीक है, वो देख लो. And like I said, it's best that you learn how to do this so you can check your answer and feel good about your work. So 4 square plus 8 over 4 minus 2, so we're looking at 12. So that means not only do we have the gradient, but we also have the point where we need to form an equation. So the gradient is half, the coordinates are 4 comma 12. So now let's put this all together. Y minus 12 is equals to 4 into x, into half x minus 4. Yeah, that's correct. Now cross multiply, so you have 4y minus 12 into 2 is 24 equals to x minus 4. So 4y is equals to x, and minus 4 plus 24 is equals to plus 20. So 4y is equals to x plus 20 is the final answer. Sir, why x minus 2 whole squared? Quotient rule, beta. Quotient rule. Okay, I just realized that it's going to be 2y. Sorry, not 4y. It's going to be 2y. Yeah, there you go. Up say yeah. Yep, 2y. Fixed it. Okay, let's do another question. Okay, this is a question. It's fairly recent. It is from October-November 2022, paper 2, variant 2. Okay. Now let's see what's what. अब ये ज़रा थोड़ा सा different question है, but remember the underlying theme is the same. Okay. The overall theme of this question is the same. There's nothing difficult. Make sure you read the question carefully so that you understand what's given and what is it that you have to find out. Okay. So it says here, the normal to the curve y equals to so and so at the point this, where x equals to 1 has equation minus y equals to minus 1 upon 4x plus b. Okay, find the values of a and b. Okay. Now, first of all, if this is the equation of the normal, that means what can I find out through this equation? I can find out the gradient of normal. And what's the gradient of normal going to be? The gradient of normal is going to be 1 upon 4. Now, you can use it as the gradient of normal, or if you want, you can transform it into the gradient of tangent and then use it. If you want to transform it into the gradient of tangent, then it's going to be positive 4. Why is that? Why would I prefer this? I would prefer that you do this because when you differentiate it and you plug in a value of x, you get the gradient of tangent, not the gradient of normal. Okay, so I'll repeat. If this is the equation of normal, that means the gradient of normal is minus 1 upon 4, and if the gradient of normal is y minus 1 upon 4, that means the gradient of tangent when x equals to 1 is positive 4. Okay, now let's differentiate this. Now before you differentiate this, make sure that you write it in a way so that it's easy for you to differentiate. And now if you differentiate it, this is what you get. You get minus a, x to the power minus 1 is going to be minus 2, okay, plus 3 minus 0. So this dy by dx is actually the gradient of tangent. So the gradient of tangent can be found by using this equation, and I'll write it nicely, a upon x square plus 3x. So if I plug in x equals to 1, that means the gradient of tangent is going to be equal to what? The gradient of tangent is going to be equal to 4. Okay, I hope everyone's following. Sir, weren't they cut marks for not showing the working? बेटा मैंने इस पे बहुत दफ़ा बोल चुका हूँ मैं कि you need to show the working irrespective. Alright, you need to show the working irrespective. You just use your calculator to check your answer. Now, so 4 is equals to minus a over 1 square. अच्छा, plus 3x नहीं होगा, it's just going to be plus 3. Yep, just going to be plus 3. Okay. So minus a upon 1 square plus 3. So we have 4, which is equal to minus a plus 3. And then get all the constants on one side. Yeah, I fixed it. Thank you. So get all the constants on one side and get all the... Okay, there's only one x, so you don't have to worry about that. So get that on one side and you'll have the value of a as minus 1. A is equals to 3 minus 4. That means a is equals to minus 1. So there you go. Now that we have the value of a, let's see how we can find out the value of b. Okay. Now the value of b can be found out by simply finding out the equation of normal. Why? Because when you find out the equation of normal, you will have the value of b as well. Yeah. Let me think if there's an easier way to it. dy by dx हमारे पास है. अगर मैं x प्लग इन करता हूँ तो y कोऑर्डिनेट आएगा और वही x कोऑर्डिनेट अगर मैं यहाँ प्लग इन करता हूँ. हाँ, in fact, okay. So you don't have to find out the... Okay, change of plans. So the equation of the curve is this. Y is equals to minus 1 upon x plus 3x minus 2. Okay, now let's see what y is equals to when x equals to 1. Okay, so y is equals to minus 1 upon 1 plus 3 into 1 minus 2. So y is equals to minus 1 plus 3 minus 2. So y equals to what? Y is equals to 0. ठीक है. That means अब ये जो 1 comma 0 है, this point is not only on the curve, but this point is common on the curve and the normal. Alright, remember, whenever you're finding out the equation of the tangent and or the normal, the point that you're given is a point that lies on both the lines, irrespective. So I'm just giving you guys like a rough sketch, rough idea of exactly what's going on over here. So let's say if this is the curve and you found out the equation of tangent or normal, doesn't matter, at this point. So whatever is the point that's on the curve, that point will be lying on the normal line as well. Okay, so जो point होता है जहाँ पे हम tangent की equation निकालते हैं वो curve और या normal tangent दोनों पे lie कर रहा होता है. Okay, so that means this point over here 1 comma 0 not only lies on the curve but also lies on the normal line. So that's what I'm going to do now. Y is equals to 1 upon 4 minus 1 upon 4 in fact, minus 1 upon 4x plus b. Now on this line we have a point 1 comma 0, so that means y equals to 0 when x is 1. So minus 1 upon 4 into 1 plus b. So 0 equals to minus 1 upon 4 plus b, which means b is equals to what? B is equals to 1 upon 4. And there you go, fellas. That's your answer to B. Now, what are your thoughts on this question? Easy. Okay. Well, do you guys find anything difficult at all? So it turns out we are indeed smarter than old people. Yeah, I have no doubts. Anyway, so let's do another question. Okay, so this also is a fairly recent question. Let's see what it says. It says the tangent to the curve y equals to ax square minus 5x plus 2 at the point where x equals to 2 has equation so and so. Find the values of the constants a and b. You guys want to try this? You guys want to try this? Sir, second question in the sheet. Okay, don't worry. I will solve all the questions in the sheet there are. Okay, so just relax. Sir, do you still teach? What do you mean do I still teach? What do you think I'm doing? Then I'll solve this. So basically, here is the gradient of tangent, which is equal to 7. Okay. And what is the value of x where the gradient equals to 7? It's x equals to 2. This question is too similar. Yeah, I know it's similar, but let's just quickly get it done and over with. So we differentiate it. When we differentiate it, we have 2ax minus 5. Okay. So remember the gradient of tangent is equals to 7 when x equals to 2. Alright. So you equate it to 7. You plug in 2 in place of x. And here's what happens. 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 is equals to 4a, which means a is equals to 3. Okay. Now this is what the equation of the curve looks like. Y is equals to 3x square minus 5x plus 2. Okay. Now let's see what y is equals to when x is 2. So 3 into 2 square minus 5 into 2 plus 2. So y is equals to 3 into 2 square, 3 into 2 square minus 5 into 2 plus 2. So y is equals to 4. Okay. That means the point that you have 2 comma 4 is not only on the curve but is also on the tangent itself. So that's what we're going to do. Y is equals to 7x plus b mein we're going to plug in 2 comma 4. So 4 in place of y, 7 in place of 2 plus b. So 4 is equals to 14 plus b. That means b is equals to 4 minus 14, which means it's minus 10. So there you go. Here's the value of minus 10, and here's the value of, here's the value of b, and here's the value of a. And that's it. That's your answer. Okay, someone wanted me to solve this equation, the second equation of the worksheet. So let's do that. Sir, why don't you teach other than YouTube? Okay. Okay, that's a topic for a separate video. Okay, but I'm teaching you here, so let's make the most of it. All right. Now here's a question which says a curve has equation y equals to e to the power minus x, a cos 2x plus b sine 2x at the point 0, 4 on the gradient on the curve. The gradient of tangent is 6. So again, this is October November 2011, paper 12. Again, back when people used to be smart. Okay. Now let's see what's what. So we have to find out the value of a, and notice that this is just a 1 mark question. What does that mean? That means there's got to be an easier way, and either that or maybe that there's not a lot of working required when we have to solve this question. Okay. So it says at the point 0, 4, and we have to find out what? We have to find out the value of a, and the first part is just 1 mark, like I said. So a kya hai? A is basically this point right here. Okay. Now how can I find out this? Chalo, let me ask you guys. Batao kaise nikalenge ye? Okay. dy by dx, वो तो लंबा तरीका नहीं है. Yeah, so exactly, plug in y equals to 4 and plug in x is 0. Not y equals to 0, but plug in x equals to 0 and y is 4, and then see what happens. Then wait for the magic. So y equals to 4 e to the power minus 0, a cos 2 into 0 will be 0, plus b sine 2 into 0 will also be 0. Okay. Now e to the power 0 is 1, cos 0 is 1, but sine 0 is 0. So that means वो अपने साथ b को भी गायब कर देगा. Okay. And now here's what you have. You have 4 equals to a, which leads to the conclusion that a equals to 4. Okay. So that's it. A equals to 4. Now then comes part b. Show that b is equals to 5. Okay. Now what do we know? This is what we know so far. The equation of the curve now looks like this. Y equals to e to the power minus x, a, which is 4, cos 2x plus b sine 2x. Okay. Now the gradient of tangent when x is 0 is equal to what? Is equals to 4. Now how do we differentiate this? We'll have to first differentiate it. Okay. And the way that we'll differentiate this is by using what? Is by using sine rule. Product rule. Sine rule keh raha hu. Sorry, by using product rule. Okay. So let's use product rule and differentiate it, and let's see what happens. So e to the power minus x is u, which means u prime is equals to e to the power minus x multiplied by the differential of the power. So that makes it minus e to the power minus x. V is equals to, now this is where you have to be a little bit careful, 4 cos 2x plus b sine 2x. Now remember, the differential of sine is cos and the differential of cos is minus sine. So 4 into minus sine 2x multiplied by positive 2. Why 2? Why are we multiplying it by 2? Because that's what the differential of the angle is. Plus b into cos 2x multiplied by 2. Okay. So now it's best that you simplify this a little. So this becomes minus 8 sine 2x. Okay. Minus 8 sine 2x plus 2b cos 2x. So vu prime plus uv prime. Quotient rule nahi hoga. Okay, unless you're planning on making e power minus x as positive e power x by taking it into the denominator. Okay, then yeah, you could say that. Okay, but other than that, I would suggest that you use product rule. Okay, so vu prime means minus e to the power minus x into 4 cos 2x plus b sine 2x. Okay, let me make sure that I've done everything correctly so far. That's what I would recommend you guys as well. Just check your answer as you go along. So 4 cos 2x, differential of cos is minus sine into 2, and then cos sine 2x ka differential is cos 2x into 2. Yep, so far so good. Yeah, so far so good. Let's see. What's next? So vu prime plus uv prime, which means e to the power minus x into minus 8 sine 2x plus 2b cos 2x. Okay, so this is what dy by dx is equal to. अच्छा, अब ज़्यादा परेशान होने की बात नहीं है. Everything will just cancel out. Not everything, but most of the stuff will cancel out. Now remember, the gradient of tangent is equal to 6 according to the question when x is equal to 0. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to replace dy by dx as 6 minus e to the power of 0, 4 cos 0 plus b sine 0, alright, plus e to the power of 0 minus 8 sine 0 plus 2b cos 0. Okay, now let's see what happens. So e power 0 becomes 1. Okay, so it's going to be minus 1. 4 cos 0 is going to be 4, and b sine 0 will just be 0 straight up, plus e power 0 is 1, minus 8 sine 0 is going to be 0, plus 2b. Why? Because cos 0 is going to be 1. Okay, I would suggest use a calculator if you're not too sure about your working. I mean, if you're not too sure about what sine 0 is and what cos 0 is. So 6 is equals to minus 4 plus 2b, which means 10 is equals to 2b, which means b is equals to 10 upon 2, and that means b is equals to 5. And there you go, fellas, that's your answer. So what are your thoughts on this question? I think I already know the answer to that, but still, I would like to hear it from you guys. Easy. Yeah, won't that be something, huh? Imagine getting the value of a wrong. Although you will get error carried forward, so you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that would be something. Anyway, so we're left with a couple more questions. Alright, let's do this one. Now, I do have this question. This is a very deadly question. Okay, I'm saving this for the last one. And then there's an easy question. This is no, this is not the easy question. This is a fairly easy question. So we'll do this. Well, I think maybe after the question that I'm about to solve right now. But this question will be fun. इसमें सही मज़ा आएगा आप लोगों को. इसके बाद मैं पूछूंगा आप लोगों से कि क्या ख्याल है आपका. Okay. So let's solve this question. So it says the normal to the curve y equals to so and so at the point where x equals to 2 meets the y-axis at the point P. Okay. Find the coordinates of P. Meets the y-axis at the point P. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Alright, let's highlight it, but we'll worry about this later. Okay. Remember setting up small and new objectives for yourself. So what's the first and new objective? The first and new objective is to find out the normal to the curve. Okay. Then obviously you have another objective, and that is you are going to find out the point where the normal to the curve meets the y-axis. Okay, so this 1 and 2 are basically the step-by-step working that we need to do in order to find out the coordinates of P. Okay. Deadly question will come later. Okay. Well, great if you guys find it easy. So अच्छी बात है. शुरू से करने से पहले असर का time देते हैं. Okay, so let's do this question and then we'll take a break. Okay, let's do this question then we'll take a break. Right. अभी असर में time है. At least यहाँ पे तो time है. I'm assuming कि आप लोगों के respective cities में भी होगा time. So let's do this question first. Okay. So y is equals to ln x square plus 2 over 2x minus 3. So let's start with v. V is going to be, let's start with u. U is going to be ln x square plus 2. Alright, so u prime is going to be 1 upon x square plus 2 into 2x. Okay, don't forget to multiply it by the differential of the bracket. So differential of the argument basically. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at 2x over x square plus 2 as the differential. Alright. Okay, again let me double check and make sure I've done everything correctly. Yep, 1 upon x square plus 2 into 2x, so 2x over x square plus 2. Okay, good job. So v is equals to 2x minus 3, and then v prime is going to be equal to what? It's going to be straight away equal to 2. Okay, then we use quotient rule, which means vu prime minus uv prime upon v square. Alright, so dy by dx is going to be vu prime, which means 2x minus 3 multiplied by 2x over x square plus 2, so that's vu prime, minus uv prime, which means minus 2 into ln x square plus 2, alright, divided by v square, which means divided by 2x minus 3, the whole thing square. Okay, now don't waste your time trying to simplify this, okay, because like I said, you will be wasting your time if you try and simplify this. Alright, just plug in the value of x and see what you get. Can we also solve it as a whole instead of dividing it? No, these are two separate functions, so you can't solve it as a whole. 2x, this 2x minus 3 is not part of the argument. This 2x minus 3 is a separate denominator. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug in x equals to 2. So let's see what that gives us. 2 into 2, that's 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 1 into 2 into 2 is 4. So I'll write 4 over here. And 2 square is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay. And then minus 2 ln. Let's see what do we get over here. 2 square is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. So minus 2 ln 6 divided by 2 into 2 is 4, 4 minus 3 is 1, and the square of 1 is simply 1. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. 4 upon 6 minus, Acha, who can tell me what just happened over here? How did this 2 ln 6 turn into ln 36? Koi batayega? What rule of logs have I used over here? Yeah, the power rule. Okay, 6 got squared and I used the power rule. Okay, you don't really need to know the rule by its name, but yeah, 6 got squared and I used the power rule. Okay, so I will prefer to simplify 4 upon 6 and write it as 2 upon 3 minus ln 36. Okay, now do keep in mind that this is the gradient of tangent. Okay, whereas we're supposed to find out the gradient of normal. Okay, so how will I find out the gradient of normal? Sir, can we solve in hand and use decimals? Yeah, you can actually. There's nothing, that's what I was thinking, because there's nothing in the question which says that you need to give your answer in exact form. ऐसा क्योंकि क्वेश्चन में कहीं लिखा हुआ नहीं है, तो हम इसको डेसिमल में भी कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, इनफैक्ट एक काम करते हैं, लेट्स take it in decimals only. Okay, let's make our life easy this time, and let's take it in decimals only. So the gradient of tangent, if I evaluate it using a calculator, 2 upon 3 minus ln 36. So we're looking at minus 2.91 minus 2.9168, which means that the gradient of normal is going to be, so I'm going to do minus 1 divided by the answer, just taking the negative reciprocal of it, so it's going to be 0.3428. Okay, but because this is not your final answer, so I would suggest that you don't round it off correct to 3 significant figures, take 4 or 5 significant figures to be on the safe side. Okay, now let's find out the y coordinate. So in order to find out the corresponding y coordinate, we're going to plug in 2 into the equation. So ln 2 square plus 2 means ln 6 over 2 into 2, that's 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. So that means the y coordinate is ln 6 when x is equal to what? X is equals to 2. Okay, so we have the gradient, we have the coordinates. Now all we need to do is we need to find out the equation. Let's write down the gradient again, 0.3428. 0.3428. So y minus ln 6 is equals to 0.3428 into x minus 2. So if we write this nicely, y is equals to, in fact you don't even have to write it nicely, since you need to find out the coordinates of P, and P is a point where the line is cutting the y-axis. So straight away what you can do is, straight away you can plug in 0 in place of x. Okay? You don't even need to get the equation written in a standard form, just plug in 0 in place of x and that will give you your answer. So 0.3428, 0 minus 2. Now this part I will solve using a calculator straight away. So gradient hai, okay, multiply that by 0 minus 2 and then in it add ln 6. So here's what we're getting. We're getting y is equals to 1.106, y equals to 1.106, and this, since it's your final answer, I will suggest that you round it off correct to 3 significant figures and you get y equals to 1.11, which by the way is the correct answer. Y equals to ln 6 kahan se aaya? We need to find out the y coordinate as well in order to form an equation. Okay, so that's why I've done what I've done. Okay, you're only going to lose mark for accuracy if you round off too soon. Okay, so up until you don't get to the final answer, I would suggest keep your answer correct to 4 significant figures. When you get to the final answer, then yes, you can round it off to 3 significant figures. ठीक है, अगर हम इसको exact form में करते ना, तो चलो मैं आप लोगों को इसको exact form में भी करके बता देता हूँ. ठीक है. Okay, let me think. If we do this in exact form, in that case, the gradient of normal would have been minus 1 upon 2 upon 3 minus ln 36. And then this would have been your gradient, and you could have simplified this further and written this as minus 3 upon 2 plus 1 upon ln 36. And then you can use a rule of logs over here and write it like this: minus 3 upon 2 plus ln 36 to the power minus 1. In fact, no, I wouldn't suggest that. Okay, no, I wouldn't suggest that. I would suggest कि आप इसको ऐसे ही रखें. Unless कि आप इसको ln e बना दें. But then again, that would be making things too complicated. I would suggest कि if you want to keep it in exact form, then this is how you go on with it. 1 upon ln 36. Yeah. But because यहाँ पे देखो, since the question hasn't mentioned anything as giving your answer in exact form, so there's no need to worry about keeping everything in exact form. Okay. So मैं इसको मिटा ही देता हूँ. ठीक है, नहीं तो आप लोगों को confusion होगा. 1.106 में accuracy mark जाएगा. Don't leave it at 1.106, since it's your final answer, write it as 1.11. Okay. Why did you substitute 0? I substituted 0 because it's cutting the y-axis, right? So if it's cutting the y-axis, that means x equals to 0. Okay. Yeah, less working, less. Okay, yeah. That's nicely put. Less working, that means you have less chances of getting it wrong. Okay, let's take a break. And after the break, inshallah, we'll solve these three questions 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So I'll see you guys after the break. Let's take a 10-minute break. That should be enough. क्या टाइम हो रहा है 6:11 हो रहा है ना So from 6:12 or 6:13 6:12 तो होएगा from 6:13 to 6:23 what do you guys suggest इसमें ख़तरनाक वाला था जो second to last question yeah this is the dangerous question the second to last question which we will solve after the break okay just reset your calculator before you start okay I'm not sure exactly what specific mode you're talking about just reset your calculator that's good enough चलो 6:25 कर देते हैं ठीक है there you go 30 would be too much then Maghrib would also be just around the corner I mean not just around the corner but yeah that would be too much I just want to wind this up before Maghrib inshallah okay so see you guys in around 10 minutes okay Okay, welcome back. What did I miss? Did I miss anything? So like I said, there are around 2 to 3 questions left. Let's do those questions and wrap this up. O-level stream when? So you guys tell me, what do you want me to stream? What topic should I stream for O-levels? Okay, that's nice and productive of you, Ali. Meet up on result day. Yeah, we could do that. Or we could let me know where your AdMath paper 2 is. Okay, I'll try and show up maybe before the paper or after the paper. I think before. I don't think after the paper will be a good idea. But yeah, let's meet before the AdMath paper 2. Okay. So let's solve this question now. This is May June 2013 paper 1 variant 2. Okay, May June 2013 paper 1 variant 2. Let's see what it says. So it says here, the normal to the curve y plus 2 equals to 3 tan x at the point where x equals to 3 upon 4 pi cuts the y-axis at the point P. Find the coordinates of P. So as far as the wordings are concerned, if you notice, it's very similar to the question that we just solved. Okay, we need to find out the equation of normal to the curve, and then we need to find out the point where the equation of normal to the curve is cutting the y-axis. Okay, and the coordinates are going to be something like this, 0 comma y as far as P is concerned. Okay, so let's make y the subject. Remember, set your small objectives for yourself, and the first objective that I'm going to set for myself is that I need to find out the equation of the normal. Okay, so let's make y the subject. Y is equals to 3 tan x minus 2, and then differentiate it. So the derivative of tan is sec square x. Okay, so let's do that. We have 3 sec squared x minus 0. Okay, now since you can't plug in anything in sec, I mean you can plug in, but since you can't work out sec in your calculator, you need to change this to cos. As we know, sec is equals to 1 upon cos, so this becomes 3 upon cos square x. Okay, so by plugging in x equals to 3 upon 4 pi, we get the gradient of tangent. And make sure that your calculator is in radian mode for this one. Okay, so 3 upon cos 3 pi upon 4, close the bracket, don't forget to square it. Just a minute, garmi lag rahi hai. Yeah, don't forget to square it. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. We're looking at the gradient of tangent to be equal to 6. Sir, मैं tan का dy by dx में confuse हो जाता हूँ. Like if you put x value, okay, you're not gonna square the, okay, the way to do it in your calculator is this. So I'll let you guys know exactly how I'm doing this in my calculator. You don't have to worry about what to square. Your calculator will do that for you. So 3 pi upon 4, the whole thing squared. This is how you should do it in your calculator. Okay, you don't need to write cos square x in your calculator. You need to write down the angle, close the bracket, and then square it. Okay, now your calculator will take care of it. Your calculator will first evaluate the result and then square it. Okay, so the gradient of tangent is equal to 6. That means the gradient of normal is going to be minus 1 upon 6. Okay, I'll repeat what I just said because this is a very common confusion. You don't need to worry about writing cos square x in your calculator. Just write it like this: cos with the value of x, and then close the bracket and then square it. So this will be treated as cos square x by the calculator. Okay, and cos square x basically means that you first evaluate with the value of x and then you square that value. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Now, what was I saying? Yeah, this is the gradient of normal. Now let's find out the x and y coordinates. So we already have the x coordinate. Let's find out the corresponding y coordinate. So to find out the corresponding y coordinate, we're going to plug in 3 pi upon 4 in the equation of the curve. So tan of 3 pi upon 4 minus 2. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's see what do we get. So 3 tan 3 pi upon 4, close the bracket, minus 2. So we're looking at y as minus 5. Okay. So now we have the equation of normal. I mean, we have the gradients to ingredients to find out the equation of normal. I was going to say gradients. Yeah. So we have the gradient. We have the coordinates 3 upon 4 pi comma minus 5. Now we just need to put it all together. So y minus minus 5 equals to the gradient, which is minus 1 upon 6, x minus 3 upon 4 pi. Okay. Again, you don't need to worry about making y the subject or anything. Just plug in 0 in place of x and then figure out everything else in your calculator. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to plug in 0 in place of x. So here's what we have. Y plus 5 equals to minus 1 upon 6x, 0 minus 3 upon 4 pi. Okay. Now let's evaluate this. इसके लिए just use a calculator. Okay. Okay. Then minus 5. So the question does not say anything such as you need to give your answer in its exact form or anything. Okay. You just need to find out the coordinates of P. But I'll let you guys know that what exactly I'm looking at. Y plus 5. So this, when you plug it in your calculator, turns out to be 1 upon 8 pi. So if you make y the subject, this turns out to be 1 upon 8 pi minus 5. And now we have the coordinates of P. The coordinates of P are 0, comma 1 upon 8 pi minus 5. And there you go, fellas. That's your answer. Now, what are your thoughts on this question? Easy. Okay. I think right after I do a question, it becomes... I mean, all you guys have been saying so far is easy. Sir, ऐसा question आ जाए. Okay. चलो अच्छी बात है. Okay, shall we do the scary question? Sir, when you got sec square x, yeah, you can convert it to, if you want, you can convert it to tan square x and then solve. Sir, if they ask equation of any line, yes, if they're asking you to find out the equation, then yes, you should write it in the form of y equals to mx plus c. What does the limit function do? Okay, you don't need to know that. That's not in AS Math. I mean, that's not in Add Maths, that's in AS Math. Okay, so let's do this question. All right, I hope you guys are ready. So this says here, the normal to the curve y is equals to sine 4x minus pi at the point a comma 0, where a is greater than pi upon 2 and less than pi. Now this is something that is to be taken seriously, that a is greater than pi upon 2 and less than pi, meets the y-axis at the point P. Okay. And then what do you need to do? You need to find out the area of triangle A. Find the exact area. Okay. Find the exact area of triangle AOB. Okay. Where O is the origin. Okay. So let's see what we need to do in order to solve this. Sir, how much will be if you put decimals? Okay, no spoilers. If you already know the answer, then I would suggest you keep it to yourself. Okay. वैसे yeah, what you've said is correct. Okay. Anyway, So here's what we do. We first differentiate it. Okay, now remember, we're setting up small objectives for ourselves. So the first objective is to find out the equation of the normal. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Find out the equation of the normal. So dy by dx is equals to, the differential of sine is cos. So cos 4x minus pi multiplied by the differential of the angle 4x minus pi, which is going to be 4. So that means this is what dy by dx looks like. Dy by dx is equals to cos 4 cos 4x minus pi. Okay. Okay. Now, the thing is, normally at this point you'd expect to be given the value of x, which you can then plug in and find out the gradient of tangent, and then use that to find out the gradient of normal. But the thing is, the problem here is that we don't have the value of x. And technically, if you think about it, we don't have the value of x, but we have the value of y, which we can then use to find out the value of x. Which means now we need to go back to the equation of the curve, which is y equals to sine 4x minus pi. Okay, y equals to sine 4x minus pi, and in it we need to plug in y as 0 and then find out the value of x. Okay, and when finding out the value of x, which is basically a, do keep in mind that a has to be the value that's in between pi upon 2 and pi. Okay, so you plug in 0 in place of y. So 0 is equals to sine 4x minus pi. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे आपके सही ट्रिग्नोमेट्री की जो नॉलेज है ना, उसका इम्तिहान है. जिन स्टूडेंट्स को ग्राफ की अच्छी नॉलेज होगी, I'm pretty sure they will be able to, and I'm talking about trigonometric graphs. Okay, students with good knowledge of trigonometric graphs will be able to solve this question correctly. But students who do not have like an in-depth understanding will definitely struggle in this question. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we need to find out the value of x. Acha, so just to change this a little, I'm going to replace x with a. Okay, so for a minus pi, showing that I've already plugged in the value of x as a. Okay, so I made a small change over here, plugged in x as a and plugged in y as 0. Okay. Okay. Now remember, when we take sine across the equals to sign, it's going to be sine inverse. Now your calculator is not really going to help you too much over here. So if you're relying on your calculator, well, I have bad news for you. Because if you take sine inverse of 0, you only get one value. Okay, let's do that. In fact, let's take sine inverse of 0. You only get one value, 0. But the thing is sine equal to 0 at 0 only, or is it equal to 0 at some other value? Again, like I said at the very beginning, if your knowledge of graphs is to the point, is up to the mark, then you won't struggle in this question too much. Why? Because sine is equal to 0 not only when x is equal, sine inverse of 0 is not 0. In fact, it's 0 at pi, and it's also 0 at 2 pi. So remember, if the question says that sine x equals to 0, then it's not just equal to 0 at 0. In fact, it's equal to 0 at 0, pi, and 2 pi. Okay. So that means 4a minus pi could technically be equal to 0, pi, or even 2 pi. Okay. So this is the equation that we're now going to solve, and when we solve this equation for the value of a, we'll solve it one by one, and we will stick to the value that is in between pi upon 2 and pi. Okay. So one by one, let's solve this. So first let's pick 0. So 4a minus pi equals to 0 will lead to the value of a being equal to pi upon 4. And what is the range of a? The range of a, as you can see, is in between pi upon 2 and pi. So this is unacceptable. Okay. Then we go with 4a minus pi being equal to pi, which means 4a is equals to 2 pi, and then again if you find out the value of a, it's going to be 1 upon 2 pi, which is again also unacceptable because a has to be greater than pi upon 2. So that means 4a minus pi is equal to 2 pi if you solve this for the value of a. So 4a is equals to 3 pi, and a equals to what? A is equals to 3 upon 4 pi. Now this is a value of a which is acceptable. Why? Because this value of a falls inside the acceptable range. It's greater than pi upon 2 and it's also less than pi. So what is the value of a that we are going to use in order to find out the equation of normal? This is the value of a that we are going to use. Okay. So now we have the value of a, and we also have the gradient of normal. In fact, we don't have the gradient of normal yet. We have dy by dx. So in dy by dx, which is equal to 4 cos 4x minus pi, we know exactly what we're plugging in. We're plugging in 3 upon 4 pi. Okay. Now if you plug in 3 upon 4 pi, remember that's going to give you the gradient of tangent. So 4 cos, this becomes 3 pi, because 4 into 3 pi upon 4 becomes 3 pi, as the 4 and 4 will just cancel out, minus pi. So 4 cos 2 pi, let's evaluate this, 4 cos 2 pi. So the gradient of tangent turns out to be equal to 4, which means the gradient of normal will be minus 1 upon 4. And the point that we're going to use will be 3 upon 4 pi, comma 0. Okay. Sir, can we can also change the range? No, here you don't have to change the range. Okay. Here you don't have to change the range. Okay. Because, okay. देखो रेंज हम उस सूरत में चेंज करते हैं जब हमें यहाँ पे x के बारे में बताया हुआ होता. Here we're told about a, and a is the x coordinate. Okay, so don't mix it up. You don't have to change the range over here. Just carry on with the way it is and take the value of a which falls inside the range of a. Okay, so like I said, now that we have everything we need, now we can form an equation. Y minus 0 is equals to minus 1 upon 4 x minus 3 upon 4 pi. Okay, so cross multiply and you get the following. You get 4y to be equal to minus x plus 3 upon 4 pi. Okay. Now, since you need to find out the point where the normal meets the y-axis, that means you're going to plug in 0 in place of x. So 4y is equals to 0 plus 3 upon 4 pi. Make y the subject. Alright, 4y equals to 3 upon 4 pi. Divide 3 upon 4 pi by 4 again, so you have 3 upon 16 pi. Okay, so now you have the coordinates of b 0 comma 3 upon 16 pi. ठीक है, मज़ा आ रहा है? We have the coordinates of b, we have the coordinates of a as 3 upon 4 pi comma 0, and obviously we have the coordinates of o, since it's the origin. In fact, I'll write it down over here. It's 0 comma 0. Now we need to find out the area. So your safest bet is to actually sketch it out. So a is on the x-axis, that means it's going to be somewhere over here. एक तो इस ऐप को भी अभी install करना था. Okay, just give me 30 seconds. I'm just going to restart the app. Yeah, okay. So here is a, 3 upon 4 pi. Okay. 3 upon 4 pi comma 0. Here is b, which has coordinates 0 comma 3 upon 16 pi. Okay, and here is the origin. Okay, so let's make a triangle first before we find out the area. So here's the triangle. Now what's area equal to? Area, as we know, is equals to half into base into height. The base is going to be 3 upon 4 pi, and the height is going to be 3 upon 16 pi. So this is going to be the height, which is 3 upon 16 pi. So we're almost there. 3 into 3 is 9, 2 into 4 is 8, 8 into 16 is what? 128. 8 into, let me check, 8 into 16, yeah, 128. So 9 upon 128 pi square is your final answer. Now, there you go. That's the answer. This question is very short but hard. Okay, I don't think this by any means would classify as a short question, and not. I mean, this is I would definitely classify this as a lengthy and a difficult question. But the good thing is, this was at the very end of the paper. Okay. A quick recap. Okay, I'll give you guys a quick recap. So first of all, you're given the equation of the curve and you're told that normal to the curve at this point Okay, now you're not given the x coordinate, but you're given the y coordinate, and you're told that the normal at this point meets the y-axis at B, and then you need to find out the area of the triangle, exact area of the triangle, which is why I've kept everything in terms of pi, and which is why I've kept it in terms of pi. Triangle OAB, where O is the origin. Okay, so first things first, you differentiate it. Now here you don't have the value of x to plug in into this equation. Then you have the value of y, which you plug in into the equation of the curve to find out the value of x. Okay, now when you take the sine inverse of 0, remember sine is not equal to 0 at just one value of x. Sine is equal to 0 at multiple values of x, 0, pi and 2 pi. You need to take the value which gives you a, which falls inside this range. So we tried it out with all three values. We tried it out with 0, pi and 2 pi. It is with 2 pi that we got a to be equal to 3 upon 4 pi, and that is inside this range. Okay. Then once you have the value of a, that means you can now plug this value of a into dy by dx to find the gradient of tangent. Then don't forget to take the negative reciprocal of it to find the gradient of normal. You have the point where you need to form the equation of normal, a comma 0. Form the equation of normal, plug in 0 in place of x so that you can find out the point where the normal is cutting the y-axis. It's going to be 3 upon 16 pi. Okay, so here are the coordinates of B, here are the coordinates of A, and here's the origin. Make a triangle using these 3 points and find the area. Make sure to leave it in terms of pi only. And there you go. This is your answer. I never knew that sine 0. Okay, it's not sine 0 or cos 0 that has more than one value. It's sine inverse of 0 and sine cos inverse of 0 that has more than one value. Okay, it's when you're solving sine x equals to 0, you're going to get multiple values of x, not just one value, because sine is not equal to 0 at only one value of x. It's equal to 0 at multiple values. Okay. Alright, अब इस worksheet में देखा जाए, so there's only one question that's left. So how about you guys solve this question? So you just need to find out the coordinates of Q. Okay. So the equation over here is y equals to 8 plus e to the power minus x upon 3. I'll write it again over here. Y equals to 8 plus e to the power minus x upon 3. Now we're not going to do the area part. We're only going to do the equation of normal part. So find out the coordinates of Q. Q, as you can see, is the point where the normal cuts the x-axis. Okay. So go ahead. Sir, what did you minus alpha from? Okay, so this is not to be solved like a regular trigonometric equation question. I didn't minus anything from alpha. I just found out the potential values of sine inverse of 0. Okay, and then I tried every single value up until the point where I got a to be inside the range, and the value of a that was inside the acceptable range was 3 upon 4 pi. Okay, solve this question. Let me know when you guys have the answer. And then that's it. After this, we'll call it a day. Yes, there is ECF in Ad Maths. Of course, there is ECF. There's ECF in any type of math. ECF is error carried forward. The points of Q, you mean the coordinates of Q are minus 3 comma 0? Alright, I don't know. Let's find out. So we need a point to form the equation of normal. What point are we going to use? What is the point that we're going to use in order to find out the equation of normal? Question for you guys. Sir, in question 17, they did ask us to leave the answer in exact form. Question number 17. Okay, so if the question is silent, then you can leave your answer in exact form. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. Yep, 0 comma 9, that's correct. So basically you can find out the coordinates of P. P is a point where x is 0, and then if you plug in 0 in the equation of the curve to find out the corresponding y coordinate, you get y is equals to 9. Okay, so you'll find out dy by dx by differentiating the equation of the curve. So it's going to be 0 plus e to the power minus x upon 3 multiplied by the differential of the power, which means minus 1 upon 3. So dy by dx is equals to what? Dy by dx is equals to minus 1 upon 3 e to the power minus x upon 3. Now you plug in 0 in place of x. So dy by dx is equals to minus 1 upon 3 into 0. Actually into e to the power 0. Yeah. Then you have the gradient of tangent, which is equal to minus 1 upon 3, which means that the gradient of normal is going to be positive 3. Okay, so positive 3 is the gradient of normal, 0 comma 9 is the point through which it's passing. So y minus 9 is equals to 3 into x minus 0, which means y is equals to 3x plus 9. Now you need to find out the coordinates of q. Q is the point where the line is cutting the x-axis, so that means the coordinates are going to be x comma 0. So you plug in 0 in place of y, 3x plus 9, and x equals to minus 3. I've skipped a few steps, so I hope it's clear. And there you go. That's your answer. Minus 3 comma 0. Okay. Sir, will area under the curve type questions? So since area under the curve has already been tested, I would suggest don't neglect it completely, but focus more on the other aspects of integration, such as equation of the curve, the hence find type questions. Do those questions first and then have a look at area under the curve as well. Don't completely neglect it. I think they might test you. Okay, so here's what can happen. They can test you in integration within limits through kinematics. Okay, so they may not ask you for, I mean, it's possible that they don't give you a question like the one over here where you need to find out the area of shaded region or area under the curve, but they might mix it up with kinematics and then give you integration within limits type of question. Okay. So what is the differentiation's real life application? It has a lot of applications. You might more than what you might imagine. It has a lot of applications in economics, in science also. Okay, but that's a topic for a separate video. Later on in university, if you guys study econometrics, you'll notice that econometrics also has a lot of differentiation. Sir, do you have a team helping you make videos? Yes, I do. I have a video editor, alhamdulillah, and a graphic designer. Yeah, hence find वाले questions की live stream करेंगे next इंशाल्लाह. कल और परसों में से किसी एक दिन maybe we'll solve a full length past paper, okay, and we'll focus on only the questions that are expected in paper 2, okay, and one live stream maybe we'll do for the hence find type questions. ठीक है? Sir, if paper 2 is difficult, then surely, yeah, okay, so that goes without saying. If the paper is difficult, then yes, definitely the grade threshold is going to be low. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and I'll see you guys tomorrow inshallah. Keep practicing. Make sure to watch the video where I talked about the topics that you should be focusing on a little more than the others for paper 2. Functions आएंगे paper 2 में. बेटा मैंने इस पे वीडियो बनाई हुई है where I've talked about, okay, I don't remember exactly what I said. I think you can get quadratic functions. Yeah, you can get quadratic functions in paper 2. ठीक है? Because ln वाले तो आ गए ना, so quadratic is possible. Yeah, that's what I said. नेक्स्ट 3 days का लाइव स्ट्रीम स्केड्यूल मैं अपलोड कर दूंगा, इंस्टाग्राम पे अपलोड कर दूंगा. ठीक है, वहाँ से देख लीजिएगा आप लोग. Okay, so I'll stop here, boys and girls. Take care. See you guys tomorrow, inshallah. And अभी किसी ने बोला था what about the difficult paper? Yeah, I'll share them shortly. Okay, मैं अभी अपने Instagram पे और YouTube की जो पोस्ट है ना उस पर मैं शेयर कर देता हूँ. ठीक है. चलें. So